as the uncertain harvest keep us here, all simply in the springing of the year. Oh, give us pleasure in the orchid white, like nothing else by day, like ghosts by night. And make us happy in the happy bees, the swarm dilating around the perfect trees. And make us happy in the darting bird that suddenly above the bees is heard, the meteor that thrust in with the needle bill, and off a blossom in mid-air stands still. For this is love, and nothing else is love, the which it is reserved for God above to sanctify what far ends he will, for which it only needs that we fulfill. And so I looked at this and I'm just like, oh, wait, because he hits you with this whole environmental image. So you're really just thinking of sort of like a meadow, a forest, the plants sprouting, the birds darting. And I dug deeper in this, and I don't think you guys want to hear my whole essay, which is 4 pages.
I think we can.
I don't know. Do you guys mind? Do you guys mind if I read this? Yes. The whole thing. Read the whole thing?
Okay.
All right.
Oh gosh.
I'm sorry, I'll be quick.
Is it poetic? No.
It's an essay.
Boring.
All right, hold on. All right. Well, I'm gonna read. Should I read the intro? Should I read the intro?
No.
Read the intro? Because you said that, I will. Poetry is a form of artwork used by many over the ages. With deep thought and unique bending on the reality of words, give them meaning beyond the denotation. The writer of a poem may create a piece of art. Poetry creates imagery. In poetry, the poet attempts to paint an image into your head to really give you an idea of what is going on. They are detailed in a way that you may see what they want you to see, or that you may even see beyond it. What may seem like a straightforward message in a poem may actually be the wordy tissue that covers its true message. Poetry is the use of our language, and language is the only thing we have when it comes to communicating with another being. With the deprivation of a once used and thriving language, we see the declination of such poetic works. If the language fails, then the image of the poem fails the delivery. When the language fails, the poet fails as well. So language remains important in the realm of poetry, for it is not just words that rhyme that create the poem. It is the language of the words manipulated in such a way that an image is created. And the message is delivered in such works. Now let us dig deep into the meaning behind the prayer in spring. Oh, give us pleasures in the flowers today, and give us not to think so far away, as the uncertain harvest keep us here, all simply in the springing of the year. Now, this first stanza, to me, it seemed like it was depicting how the present is to spring, and how the present symbolized the abundance with growth and fertility, just like spring. We see spring, and it's after winter. Well, not after winter. It's before the fall, after winter, yes. And you see winter, it's dead. Everything's covered in white. You see nothing growing and sprouting, but spring, you see everything just come. Everything, the world hits you, and you get to understand what God's created in front of you. Now, oh, give us pleasure in the flowers today. It seems to give off that these flowers are the gifts of the present, and so abundant too, as flowers are abundant in spring. We take the pleasures in these gifts, just as we take the pleasure in spring. And look, next line, and give us not to think so far away as the uncertain harvest. This tells us we should not think away from these gifts regardless of how certain life is at the moment, or in this case, the harvest. Keep us here all simply in the springing of the year. Finally gives us the idea that the poet wants to stay in the present amongst these abundant gifts in the light of the life. Because spring is rebirth and fertile time in life. The poet wants us to realize the importance of this and to hold on to it, for it is only here and now. The second stanza. Oh, give us pleasure in the orchid white, like nothing else by day, like ghosts by night, and make us happy in the bees, the swarm dilating around the perfect trees. The intention of the stanza, that I believe it was to show the beauty of the world regardless of what is going on at that time. The poet shows how beautiful this place is, and with the first 2 lines, he describes how the orchid white is like nothing in the day and like a ghost by night. It shows how pure this white really is, how pure the beauty of this white orchid really is. Now, when we think of white and we think of pure, what comes to your mind?
Salvation.
Salvation. What else? Who gives salvation?
The Lord.
The Lord. And so I looked at this and I'm like, wait a second, this can't just be straightforward, like he's just like, oh, I love the spring, I love the flowers, I love the meadows, I love seeing these things. It's something beyond that. Now, he's really depicting this. And by way of contrasting, I believe, the poet continues to speak, but of something odd. He wants us to be happy in the happy bees. Usually when we think of bees, you know, me, I think of chaotic, just flying at you. You mess with them, they're going to get you. You know, they're going to get you back. But he takes this. We think of them rather chaotic, an unpleasant way, and focus less on the beauty of the nature they dwell in. You know, so we focus on less of where they are, but we focus on more what they are. We look at them like swarming you, coming at you, ready to sting you for messing with them, instead of looking at what they're doing. What is it they're doing? They're pollinating, they're giving growth, they're giving life. Now, the poet, he puts this in a way that the bees are in rhythmic movements, going about their daily routines in the beauteous world around them. He then gives more of an impression. He describes the swarm buzzing around the perfect trees. Now, when he uses that perfect trees, he depicts a pure scene that the poet is just describing. With, he gives two contrasting elements, a chaotic swarm of bees and the perfect trees, the perfect nature. He combines these two contrasting ideas, these two contrasting pieces, and gives it a compliment. He compliments them, showing that the happy bees and the perfect trees coexist with each other. Together, we have to have that good, that evil, to have coexistence. That's phenomenal. Wow. But he wants us to know that with that good, with that evil, the world around us is still perfect.
Yes, it is.
My God. Wow.
And we have the last answer. And make us happy in the darting bird, that suddenly above the bees is heard. The meteor that thrusts in with needle bill, and offer blossom in midair stands still. This isn't the last word. This is my bad. The third of the four introduces a bird, not just any bird. It is a bird with a movement like a meteor that thrusts. A meteor that thrusts, that's something faster than what any vehicle we have today is. That comes at you quick. He wants us to see how vibrant and beautiful everything is with this darting birds. He wants us to show how alive this place is, how everything is moving. It's not just still. You have things flying. It's all catching your eye. And now I look at this. He wants us to see how vibrant and beautiful everything is. You know? And then he shows that the bird stops in flight before a flower in the line. And off a blossom in mid-air stands still. To me, it sort of gave me the idea that the poet intended that we see the nature and beauty of this place and notice the lively creatures going on about their lives. It goes from the bees following their routine to the unexpected entrance of a darting bird that never stops, or that stops before a flower. All of this seems straightforward with each of these stanzas. Something of just plain imagery. And some have imagery with a meaning, but a meaning you can't associate anything with yet. And what I looked at was this darting bird. And it's probably going to be explained in this next stanza. This darting bird is us. If you think about it, we run through life so fast without taking in the world around us. We move too fast, we got to get to point A to point B. We can't take the time to just slowly walk and enjoy what the Lord's created around us. We can't take that and fathom it. We can't hold it in. We just want to skim over and go on to the next thing. Because it's all about us, right? For this is love, and nothing else is love, the which it is reserved for the God above, to sanctify to what far ends he will, but which it only needs that we fulfill. Now the sudden realization comes to me. The past stanza served as a long metaphor to finally be tied into this last stanza. The visuals detailed within this poem were showing us our love for God, which is told to be a pure and mutual love. God was the orchid white flowers that were pure and beyond beautiful. And we, I believe, were the birds stopping before the flower. This could mean that as we speed through life, we sometimes have to take that stop in the beauty of God. That the happy bees and perfect trees show us the substance, or should I say, of our universe. We begin to see how it all connects, and you really can't see the true meaning behind this poem if you do not believe. You have to believe in the beauty of the flowers, the bees going about their instinctive routines, the birds stopping at interruption to stare at the beauteous flowers. Everything has to be seen in this way so that we may see it in all in two ways. A rejoicing in this perfect universe, and God allowing us access to the things necessary to reach Him by using what He places around us. God created this world, and in the end, we always take the time to enjoy the spectacles of His creations. That's what this poem really drives towards, symbolizing our love for God and His perfect universe, as well as finding joy in the marvels created by Him.
Praise God.